The Crown Prince had a sharp tongue and reduced 8 court officials to tears with his scathing remarks. The Emperor punished him by making him marry me, a mute, not a single word spoken to me in a month of marriage, giving me the silent treatment. Are you? Prince Wei next door kisses his wife every day. I don't care, you have to kiss me too. Needless to say, I know you have a crush on me, Crown Princess. Your cold and silent demeanor is so cool, Tilda. One more time if you stay silent. I'll take it as consent. I widened my eyes and kicked him off the bed. Scram. The Crown Prince beamed with joy. So your muteness was just an act. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful stories every day. Now the story begins. Shang Lian's disheveled clothes revealed shoulders covered in red marks. He stood up indignantly. How dare you deceive even your own husband? The next second, he pouted. I need a kiss to be appeased. Me, no, don't coax, I rasped. Shang Dian stepped forward and planted a kiss on my cheek. Then I'll coax you, Crown Princess. You can speak, I'm so happy. He beamed, his adorable dimples appearing. I crashed into the dazzling depths of his eyes, and my heart trembled. In this world, it seems only he would rejoice for me. 1 year ago, I was still a dust-covered farm girl, taking care of my paralyzed mother in a peasant household. Suddenly, a group of people barged in. They claimed I was the long-lost eldest daughter of the Marquis's household, here to take me back. The old nurse's eyes welled up with tears. Young mistress, you must be too overjoyed to speak. That's not the case. I remained silent. It's just because I'm mute. After being taken into the mansion, I transformed into a wealthy young lady. I thought I had found family who loved me, but when my birth mother saw I was mute, the light in her eyes instantly died out. I've seen that look in many people's eyes. Mother pulled the elegantly dressed, refined woman beside her and said, Baozhu, your sister can't speak. Take good care of her. Baozhu walked over and affectionately linked arms with me, but beneath the sleeve, her hand pinched my flesh viciously. I remained silent, only wincing in pain. She smiled sweetly. Of course, I'll take good care of Kaya. Covering her mouth, she added, oh dear, I forgot my little sister has changed her name to Baozhu now. Originally, the name Baozhu was meant for you, but I've been used to it for 16 years. You don't mind letting me keep it, do you, little sister? I pushed her away in pain. A startled cry rang out. Baozhu was seen falling to the ground, her eyes red as she hid in our mother's arms. Baozhu knows nothing about you being switched at birth. How can you take your anger out on her? She owes you nothing. Stop making unreasonable demands. You're forbidden from eating tonight as punishment. Apologize to your sister. With a cold glance in my direction, Mother left with Baozhu. He didn't even pay attention when I rolled up my sleeves to explain. I felt utterly miserable. Never thought I'd come home and still not get a proper meal. The household staff wouldn't speak when they saw me, because Baozhu said I'm a mute. All their chattering would poke at my sore spots. I glanced at her. In the whole family, she talks the most and pokes at my sore spots the hardest. Why won't she shut up? But I remained silent, just kept eating. Whatever, as long as I get to eat my fill. Might as well pretend she's farting. Phut. Baozhu's face stiffened. Phut phut. Baozhu's face turned pale. PFFFT. Baozhu fled in panic. She was indeed farting. The first time I met Shang Lian was at a flower viewing banquet. Everyone says the Crown Prince is universally disliked, especially by noble ladies. Not a single noble lady in the capital doesn't despise him. I don't understand. This Crown Prince is more handsome than a beauty who could topple kingdoms. So how could anyone dislike him? Until he spoke to a noblewoman who threw a handkerchief at him. You got Parkinson's or what? Go get treated if you're sick. If not, why are you shaking? Littering. TSK. Sickness can be cured, but bad character ruins a life. The noble lady was scolded to tears, covering her face as she ran away. This Crown Prince is really too. I took a curious glance. Ah, this noble lady is Baozhu, so utterly adorable. Rumors truly can't be trusted. Shang Dong approached. Young lady, peeping is rather ungentlemanly. After glancing at me, he gasped sharply. This humble one failed to recognize Mount Tai. May I inquire after the lady's esteemed name? Me. I turned to leave, but he stopped me again. What do you mean by not saying anything? Am I not handsome, charming, and dashing enough to deserve your name? Helpless, I pointed at the grass on the ground and walked away. Shangliang stood there dumbfounded, scratching his head. Grass, damn, she's cursing me. After returning to the mansion, Baoju's teapot-like wails still hadn't ceased. Then another cry rang out. Father returned from the court. He covered his face and wept, playing music with Baoju. I didn't want to cry either, but the crown prince was too much. He actually called me a reincarnated sycophant, saying I'm a bootlicker. What's wrong with flattering the emperor? The emperor loves hearing my praises. Woo-woo. The crown prince actually found out I used to be a cook, and told the entire court I was the best at passing the buck. Damn it. He's dug up all my past. Do I have no dignity left? Baoju hugged him, sobbing uncontrollably. Their mother kept alternating between comforting one and then the other. So busy, when will the crying end? It's time for dinner. Father has finished crying. Then I realized I wasn't the one the crown prince scolded the most. He smiled, but soon he couldn't laugh again, because the imperial edict had arrived. The eunuch blabbered on and on. Only 2 words filled my mind. So hungry, until everyone looked at me. Second young miss, receive the imperial decree. I pointed at myself, my face full of question marks. Me, receive the decree. What good thing could possibly come my way? I looked at the imperial decree. It really was good news. I was going to be the crown princess. Hee. Father sighed. Today, the crown prince made 8 court officials cry with his scolding. The emperor said he'd punish him by making him marry a mute. Who would have thought he'd marry our family's mute girl? Me. Not funny. That day, the entire household was enveloped in a heavy atmosphere. An outsider might have mistaken it for news of someone's death. Father and the crown prince were as incompatible as fire and water, yet suddenly became relatives. Now that they couldn't avoid seeing each other constantly, he feared the crown prince would berate him even more harshly. Baoju's heart was like dead ashes, wishing only that she had been born mute. She grabbed scalding hot water and was about to pour it down her throat. Fortunately, she was afraid of pain, so the matter was dropped. As for her mother, she naturally comforted her beloved daughter. She wished she could tie her to her waistband. All 3 of them were lifeless, not even eating. Lucky me. I'll devour them all. Soon enough, the wedding day arrived. I sat on the bed, starving to the point where my chest stuck to my back. Fumbling for the longanies and dates on the bed, I happily snacked away. The bridal veil was suddenly lifted. It was Shongdian. He chuckled, plucking the date from my hand and popping it into his mouth. If you're hungry, why didn't you say so? I'd have had the servants prepare food for you. As he chewed, he suddenly paused. I forgot. You're mute. He comforted. It's all right. Not being able to speak doesn't matter. As long as you can eat. I blinked. That was true. He continued reassuring. Tell me who you want to curse at. Point where. I'll curse there. I blinked again. He scratched his head and asked in confusion. Why did you curse at me last time? Was it because I was harsh with your sister? Shonglian's ears turned red at the tips. Actually, I'm not fierce. I'll be very gentle with the crown princess. The corners of my lips lifted slightly as I wrote in his palm. My name is Kaya. Compared to Baoshu, I prefer the name Kaya, because Kaya was the name I chose for myself. Baoshu was forced upon me by others. Shongdong froze for a moment, his face flushing red. So that's how it was. From now on, I'll call you Kaya. Grass. I nodded faintly. Shonglian curved his lips and fed me a date. His gaze wandered as he took a deep breath. Then let's have a precious child early. Shonglian closed his eyes. No, I meant going to bed early. I nodded slightly stiffly. I remembered what my grandmother in the countryside told me. You have to kiss to have a baby. Does he want to kiss? I glanced at his lips, red, plump and full. Shonglian's Adam's apple bobbed as he lowered his head to capture my lips. My eyes widened in surprise. I'm going to have a baby. Shonglian steadied my shoulders and pressed me down onto the bed. I'm not fierce at all. I'm very gentle. As soon as he finished saying this, I knew he was lying to me. Clearly both fierce and impatient, not gentle in the slightest. Not only did he deceive me, even my mother-in-law in the countryside deceived me. They promised that kissing would make a baby, didn't they? Even though I'm mute, but I could still let out a muffled sound. Shongduan was thoroughly enjoying himself. Crown Princess, your voice is so lovely. Could you call out my name, please? Me. The Crown Princess is so obedient, not resisting at all. I resisted, but you overpowered me, Crown Princess. Are you tired? If you're not answering me, you must not be tired, me. The next day, supporting my waist with a puffed face, I glared at him. Shongjian covered her face shyly. Crown Princess, don't look at me with such tender affection, Tilda. I'll really get embarrassed, Tilda. It's so early in the morning, doing such things in broad daylight isn't proper, Tilda. Alright, let's wait until nightfall. Okay, silence means consent. Me, what exactly did I consent to? Since we had to pay respects to the Empress at the palace, we didn't delay any further. I was nervous on the way, and Shongjian held my hand tightly. He comforted me, saying, my stepmother is just like an 82 Longjing, nothing more than a steeped old green tea. Don't be afraid, me. Needless to say, I grew even more nervous. The Empress sat high above, lifting her eyelids to give me a once-over. I heard you're mute. That actually makes you a perfect match for the Crown Prince. A mute and a chatterbox. A match made in heaven. Shongjian held my hand tightly. Mother, he said, stop farting in a coffin, spare us your sarcasm. This marriage was decreed by the Emperor. Naturally, the Crown Princess and I are perfectly suited. Is it because the King of Wei is already 23 and still unmarried that Her Majesty the Queen Mother feels envious? That's easily fixed. I'll have Father Emperor bestow one upon him another day. Those sharp eyes of the King of Wei are always watching me. I'll have Father Emperor arrange a marriage for him with a blind woman. I think they'd be perfectly matched. The King of Wei was the Empress's own son. I must not laugh. I must remain dignified. I am the Crown Princess, after all. The Empress's prayer beads clicked faster between her fingers, her face darkening with anger. How dare you? Is this how you speak to your Empress? I shivered, my legs going weak as if about to kneel. Shongjian firmly held me up. With me here, you don't need to kneel to her. His palm was scorching hot, burning so intensely it made my eyes want to pee. Shongjian said with a careless smirk, I'll even throw in a 5. He glanced at the Buddhist prayer beads in the Empress's hand. Now that we've met, I won't disturb your Majesty's recitation of the rebirth mantra any longer. Empress, what rebirth mantra? That's a Buddhist scripture. The Empress was furious, but could only watch helplessly as Shongjian walked away. I broke free from Shonglian's grasp. He asked anxiously, what's wrong? Did that old witch scare you? Or are you angry because she called you mute? Don't be mad. Don't be mad. I'll go tell father and complain about her right now. You dare bully my wife. I'll show her why flowers bloom so red. Shonglian dragged me urgently to see the Emperor. Truth be told, I was just sweating in my palms, but I didn't say a word, because I am mute. Shongjian tearfully lodged a complaint to the Emperor, with a face that said he wouldn't leave the Hall of Mental Cultivation unless the Empress was punished. The Emperor's ears were nearly deafened by his clamor. Crown Prince, can't you learn from the Crown Princess and be a little quieter, Shongjian? The Crown Princess is in charge of being quiet, and I'm in charge of tattling. The Emperor, Shongjian interlaced his fingers with mine. If there are words she can't say, I'll say them for her. He grinned foolishly, revealing his big white teeth. I sniffled. It stung, like my nose was about to give out. I forced out an awkward smile. I think I must be very ugly. Ah, Crown Princess, you look so beautiful when you smile. Girls should smile more. Smiling improves your mood. A good mood lets you eat more meals. Eating more helps you grow. Growing means. Shongjian said all this in one long breath. I can't remember. I only remember that his smile was brighter than the sun. The Emperor sent Shongjian back to the Eastern Palace to keep him occupied. The Empress was punished with a month of house arrest. Shonglian was satisfied. I was uneasy, fearing the Emperor might vent his anger on him. If he were to fall, would I still be able to eat my fill? But Shonglian claimed his birth mother was the late Empress. The late Empress was the Emperor's eternal moonlight. Shonglian feigned distress, delivering his humble brag. Though the Emperor has many children, ever since my birth he's doted on me alone. I've urged him to show more affection to the others. But alas, he simply wouldn't listen, insisting on spoiling me, just me. This heavy love is truly troublesome. My hands are itching a bit. Why do I feel this sudden urge to hit someone? But is the power of a first love really this strong? Could it be that Shonglian, like his father, also has a white moonlight? Sister, don't think marrying the Crown Prince means a good life awaits you. The Crown Prince has been searching for his white moonlight for 6 years. When she returns, you'll be left crying your eyes out. On the day of returning to my maiden home, Baozhu sneered with biting sarcasm. I blinked, content with being well fed every day. I think these are the good days now. I frown in distress. If the white moonlight returns, can I still live such good days? Bullshit. You're worrying about the Eastern Palace affairs like a nosy busybody. Who the hell do you think you are? You ugly wretch. Shongdian pulled me into an embrace. Crown Princess. Don't listen to her filthy lies slandering me. My body, my heart, every inch of me inside and out belongs to you alone. Then his mouth started spewing like he'd taken laxatives. Ugly freak. Looks like you're holding a lantern in the outhouse asking for death, aren't you? If you want toady, I'll oblige you. Shongdian waved his hand, and the guards behind him immediately restrained the person. He raised his blade to Baozhu's neck. I was startled. Did she really have to die? The next second, the guard skillfully pressed Baozhu into the latrine. Yuck, woo-woo. I won't seek death anymore. Cries and retching sounds intermittently came from the outhouse. Soon, Baozhu was carried out, covered in filth. I pinched my nose. Damn, that's real shit. Father and mother saw Baozhu. One began a heated debate with the crown prince. One held Baozhu and cried as if the sky and earth had darkened. Crown prince, even if you are the crown prince, you can't bully your subject's daughter without distinguishing right from wrong, Shong Mion said innocently. When did I ever bully your daughter? He turned to me and asked, Crown Princess, did I bully you? My heart skipped a beat. I felt as if something had cracked open a fissure. My eyes reddened slightly as I shook my head vehemently. Shong Lian shrugged at my father. See, your daughter said I didn't bully her. Father's hands trembled, his gaze wavering as he dared not look at me. All he managed were a few stammered you. Shong Jian forcefully interlocked his fingers with mine, shedding his usual carefree demeanor. He let out a cold laugh. The Marquis is getting old, suffering from dementia. It's fine if he forgets his own flesh and blood. But if you dare overstep your bounds and humiliate my crown princess, I will never let it slide. I had never seen Shong Jian like this before. His solemnity was downright heart-stopping. I can barely breathe. He lowered his gaze, reverting to his usual self, ruffling my hair. He said, I told you, I'll curse whoever you point at. Why won't you point? But it's fine, if you won't point, I'll curse them for you anyway. A husband as good as me is rare. You'd better cherish me properly. He bent down and brought his face closer. Crown Princess, why don't you cherish me right now? My face instantly flushed crimson. I glanced around nervously. This is outside, you know. Shong Dong glanced at the guard who had turned his back not far away. If you won't cherish it, then I will. With that, he planted a loud kiss on my cheek. I stumbled and staggered away in clumsy panic. Behind me echoed Shong Dian's triumphant laughter. That day, Shong Dian summoned a renowned physician, claiming he could cure my muteness. Actually, my throat isn't injured. I just haven't spoken for too long. I've even forgotten how to speak. The crown princess's illness is a matter of the heart. This old physician can do nothing about it. The divine physician said this illness can only be cured by love. Shong Dian beamed with joy. That's something I've got plenty of. He cupped my face in his hands. I have so much love to give you, little grass. I'll be waiting for you to call my name. From then on, Shong Dian practically tied me to his belt. He even moved all his study materials into my room. He would sit by the window handling official business, occasionally glancing out at me tending the herb garden. Seeing that I never once looked his way, he came running over angrily, only to be scared by a tiny bug and squeeze into my arms. Crown Princess, I'm so scared. I flicked the bug away with my bare hand, earning an adoring look from Shong Lian. Crown Princess, you're amazing. Crown Princess, you're so brave. You're not even afraid of bugs. The Crown Princess saved my life. To repay this debt of gratitude, I should offer myself in marriage. There was no time to react. Shong Lian lightly pecked me on the lips, with a sly smile, as if he'd just stolen a taste of honey. I stood frozen in place, the medicinal herbs in my hands scattering everywhere. My heart wouldn't stop racing. It's all Shong Dian's fault. I just wanted to eat my fill. That's all. I didn't mean to be greedy. Shong Dian has an insatiable urge to paint, but his skills are inconsistent. He was secretly drawing me, and I caught him. I pulled out the sketch to see what it was, but the portrait at the very bottom caught my eye. Is this Shang Lian's white moonlight, a smudged painting? Surprisingly, I could still tell it was a woman, a rough sketch, yet I could see his earnestness in it. My heart ached with bittersweet emotions. It's over, I've grown greedy. Tears fell from my eyes onto the portrait, blurring a single character, grass. This painting is titled Grass, at the bottom. There's an inscribed poem, no prairie fire can burn it utterly, the spring wind blows it back to life. No prairie fire can burn it utterly, the spring wind blows it back to life. This old man survived great calamity, bound to have fortune hereafter. What doesn't kill me, I'll kill it first. At just 10 years old, I went up the mountain to hang myself. Then I met a madman. I turned around to find another place to end it all. My ankle was grabbed by the madman. I frowned and tried to shake him off, but couldn't. The madman was covered in mud, his face blackened with filth. He clung to me desperately. Little sister, I've been bitten by a snake. Save me, please. I shook my head. I'm about to die. Why care about others' lives? Save me, bro, I'll pay you. I shook my head. I'm about to die. Money can't be taken to the underworld. He gritted his teeth and pleaded. Save me, bro, I'll offer myself in return. Alright, I shook my head again. That's even worse than giving money. Finally he gave up. Am I gonna starve to death? Bro, no way, bro, if I die, I'll die with a full stomach. I paused and rubbed my belly. Haven't eaten for 2 days already. I don't want to starve to death either. The madman took one look and immediately said, I can make sure you're well fed. My eyes lit up. Seeing it might work, he nodded solemnly. A man of Yang doesn't deceive his fellow Yang men. I lowered my head to examine his wounds. He tied his own leg with a strap to prevent the venom from spreading. A dead snake lay beside him. I rummaged through the basket on my back, pulling out a rope, a kitchen knife, and finally, a medicinal herb. I crushed it and applied the paste to the wound. He blinked and picked up the rope. Are you trying to kill yourself? I nodded. He clicked his tongue. A living dog is better than a dead lion. Death is such a terrible thing. Hanging yourself, when you die, your tongue sticks all the way out. So ugly. With this kitchen knife, one slash and you'll see blood. You'll stay conscious watching all your blood drain away. The madman talks a lot. He knows many ways to die. None of them are dignified. I'd even offer myself to stay alive. Yet you won't even spare your own life. Have you been to the capital? Once you've been there, you won't want to die anymore. The madman saw that I wasn't speaking. Thinking I was ignoring him, he spoke even more fervently. Strangely, I didn't feel so much like dying anymore. Soon someone was shouting. The madman said his family had arrived. As he left, he asked me, may I ask the lady's name? I blinked my eyes. I have no name. Everyone calls me Little Mute. The madman's words echoed in my mind. Wildfires cannot burn it all away. Spring winds blow and life returns. I'm alive again. This goddamn life. What is a grass egg? Grass. I also want to be like a grass egg, reborn with a blow. I pointed at the wild grass on the ground, then turned and walked away. The madman scratched his head. Grass. Damn, she's cursing at me. Ah, you found me out, Crown Princess. Shang Dian embraced me from behind, nuzzling close to my ear. I promised to give myself to you. Didn't I lie? He sighed again. It's just a pity that someone must have forgotten about this. I secretly wiped away my tears. No way I did. Always remembered. Madman on the left, Crown Prince on the right. Who would have thought the madman of those days is today's Crown Prince? This is far more than just a single character's difference. I opened my mouth, wanting to retort, yet I found no voice came out. The light in my eyes dimmed slightly. Shang Dian pinched my cheek. That's wonderful. You even wanted to speak. I lifted my head and stood on tiptoe, gently pressing my lips to his cheek. Shang Dian froze, every inch of him tensed. With one sweeping motion, he pinned me down onto the bed. I widened my eyes in disbelief. Wasn't it said that one shouldn't indulge in wild fantasies during broad daylight? Shang Dian cleared his throat lightly. Actually, occasionally. It might not be entirely impossible. The Prince of Wei is about to marry, and his bride truly is a blind woman. I glanced at Shang Lian. Could it really be him who asked the emperor for the marriage decree? Shang Lian widened his innocent eyes, slightly bashful. Don't look at me. I'm afraid I won't be able to resist. Me, Shang Lian. This younger brother of mine is just as lovesick as I am. To win the hand of this young lady who injured her eyes, he knelt for 3 days and 3 nights. this copycat, of all things to imitate, had to choose my devotion and deep affection. Even your vows copied mine, one love for this lifetime. Refusing concubines, not a single word changed. H. Copycat. Shang Lian and the Prince of Wei didn't get along well. The two quarreled daily in the imperial court. Of course, Shang Lian won every time. Shang Lian was usually unreliable and spoke without thinking, offending many people, including my father. Originally, my father had planned to marry Baozhu to the Prince of Wei and seek his patronage, but the prince ended up marrying a blind woman instead. TSK. The plan fell through. Shang Lian was in a splendid mood. Because he'd heard the empress had coughed up blood from rage, I was in excellent spirits too. I heard my father was so angry he coughed up blood. Father saw his scheme fall through, then he turned his attention to me. Father pleaded earnestly, "Your sister has long admired the crown prince, as her younger sister. You should be considerate of her feelings." Should I be considerate of her? I'm being kind enough by not resorting to corporal punishment. Father waved his hand dismissively. Your sister isn't competing with you. Just let the crown prince casually offer her a concubine's position. Casually, the crown prince never relieves himself just anywhere. Seeing that I wasn't responding, my father slammed the table and stood up. What do you mean by this? I'm talking to you. What kind of attitude is this? Just give me a straight answer. Do you agree to your sister entering the Eastern Palace or not? I pressed my lips together. How could a mute give a definite answer? This is utterly baffling. The crown prince stormed in furiously. I stood up, immediately pointing at my father with tears welling in my eyes. The crown prince kicked the man to the ground with one swift motion. Do you take my words as mere wind past your ears? Who allowed you to speak to my crown princess in such a manner? Looking for death. Hearing those last two words, I instinctively pinched my nose. Shangdong was perfect in every way. He just particularly enjoys making people seek death. The next second, the guards then dragged the wailing father into the latrine, until the father pleaded, "Your Highness, this old man was wrong. This old man doesn't want to seek death." After Shangdian had the person thrown out of the Eastern Palace, he pulled me to sit on his lap, gently brushing my nose with his finger. He said, "You've improved today. You even pointed out someone for me to retaliate against. Good boy." The emperor recently caught a cold. Shangdian went to attend to him every day. It's just that he hasn't returned for several days now. The number of patrolling guards in the Eastern Palace has increased. I gazed at the windless, tranquil sky. Is this the precursor to a heavy downpour? Father has learned his lesson. This time, a formal visiting card was presented. He respectfully invited me to visit his residence for a chat. What could a mute like me possibly have to discuss with him? See. I told you our sister still cares about us family members. Here she comes now. Baozhu spoke with sarcastic undertones. I rolled my eyes. If you hadn't claimed to have news about the crown prince, I wouldn't have come. Father snorted smugly. Baozhu, we're family after all. Only your maternal relatives can be your true support. I remained silent, maintaining nothing but a faint smile, a mountain to lean on, more like a mountain that could crush me to death. Seeing I didn't respond, he stopped pretending. Today you'll stay right here in the manor, don't even think about going anywhere else. When the Prince of Wei ascends the throne in the future, Father will plead for mercy on your behalf and spare your life. I see now, they're planning to use me as a hostage. Because I'm mute, I pose no threat. They actually began conspiring right in front of me. Princess Wei has used witchcraft to control the emperor. Once the emperor drafts the Edict of Succession, Prince Wei will ascend the throne immediately. When that time comes, our precious pearl will become an imperial consort. Baozhu gave me a smug glance and boasted, I've become the imperial consort. But what about you, little sister? The crown prince is surely doomed to die. So wouldn't that leave my little sister a widow? Father said indifferently. Allowing her to keep her life is already the greatest mercy. Raised in the countryside since childhood, that's the fate of the lowborn. I listened to their words with cold indifference. My heart was utterly calm. Fortunately, I never thought I was Baozhu. All I remember is that my name is Kaya. Besides grass, I was also called Little Mute. I had another name too, Money Loser, as a child. I didn't understand why mother never gave me a proper name and called me Money Loser every day. Not until I was 6, when I saw mother stab father to death, the man who beat her every day. Father's pants were still half off, yet blood had already pooled across the floor from the bed, hiding beneath the bed. I faintly overheard that I was taken from a wealthy family by my mother. Father roared at her, demanding why she hadn't sold me for money. Mother said this worthless burden was meant to serve her. As usual, the two of them started arguing. The difference was, this time the mother grabbed a knife from the table, stab after stab, she turned the father into a sieve. Then, the mother cleaned up the blood and carried the corpse outside. When the noise outside finally ceased, I staggered out on trembling legs. I hid in the mountain cave for a full day and night. I finally passed out and was carried back by villagers. When I returned home, they were holding a funeral. They all say father fell off a cliff to his death, but I know better, yet I dare not speak, and so, I never spoke again. I served my mother with trembling fear, until the year I turned 10, I discovered she would leave for a distant place every 3 days. Suspicion arose in me, and I followed in her footsteps. Mother did nothing at all. Standing in the corner, she stared at another family's child with tears streaming down her face. She dared not cry aloud, covering her mouth. Her eyes filled with heartache. That look in her eyes was exactly the same as when Aunt Wang next door gazed at Wang Yaozu. I couldn't have mistaken it. I looked at the little girl. She was kicking small stones on the ground. Her embroidered shoes were covered in dust. A servant nearby knelt on the ground, wiping her shoes clean. I looked down at my fingers covered in chilblains. These hands, even shoe shiners would find them too dirty. Baozhu, how do you like the hairpin your mother found for you? A woman planted an affectionate kiss on her cheek. The hairpin was handed to the girl. Frowning, the girl glanced at it with disdain. I don't want it. This is too shabby. Mother, I want the most expensive set of hair ornaments from Treasure Pavilion. With that, the girl threw the hairpin to the ground and stormed into the mansion in a huff. The woman behind hurried in to comfort her. The servant followed through the door. The crowd dispersed. Even the mother in the corner wiped her tears and left. I stepped forward and picked up the hairpin carved with bamboo from the ground, brushed off the dust and carefully tucked it into my chest. When I got home, my mother tossed me a bucket of clothes. Obediently, I carried them to the riverside to wash. I stared at the still river surface, lost in thought for a long while. Not a single place in this world is my home. One is a golden branch and jade leaf, a child carefully nurtured by one's side. The other is a crude country bumpkin, a mute who cannot speak. Even a fool would know which to choose. I know I can never truly belong to that family. The chilblains on my hands are aching again. My stomach growls with hunger. And this home where I endure scolding and suffering every day, I don't want it either. A fish leaped out of the water, then fell back in. My feet moved uncontrollably forward. The icy water rose to my chest, then finally over my head, just when I thought it was all over. I was rescued by someone again. TSK, there are still too many people here. Next time I'll find a place with no one around. Later, I went up the mountain to hang myself. I met a madman. After saving the madman, he actually gave me a huge bag of pastries. I've never eaten such beautiful pastries before. I think I should listen to him. Go to the capital and see. Mother never traveled far again, because that little girl's family had gone to the capital, so her most important task every day was to torment me. When embroidering, she enjoys pricking me with needles. When boiling water, she delights in splashing it on me. I've grown accustomed to all this, until the day she locked me in a room with a man. I knew that if I didn't fight back, I would be locked inside that house for the rest of my life. That night, I followed her example. When the man's pants were halfway down, I gave him a stab. I moved the barely breathing man onto my mother's bed again. The next day, she touched the ice-cold corpse. The man's wife came knocking at our door, howling. She broke both of my mother's legs. I looked anxious, but my feet didn't move an inch. From then on, Mother could only rely on me to get through her days in bed. I laughed as I watched her glare at me fiercely, yet remain utterly powerless. How wonderful. Now no one can bully me anymore. I pawned that hairpin, used these 50 taels of silver to bribe a Taoist priest, sent him to the capital to play ghostly tricks. The Taoist priest took my note and glanced at it. Scrawled crookedly on it were the words, "At the Marquis's gate, a cat replaces the crown prince, fortune shifts." The priest was a man of his word. He carried out everything exactly as written on my note. Soon enough, someone came looking for me. The old nurse's eyes welled up with tears. Young miss, you must be too happy for words. I was overjoyed. At last, I could live a life where every meal would be a full one. I smiled at my paralyzed mother lying on the bed. She frantically tried to get up and grab me. No, you can't go back. You must stay here. You can't go back and compete with her. You've got the wrong person. She's my own flesh and blood. You can't take her away, the old nurse said with disdain. Miss Baoju has made it clear she only acknowledges our madam as her mother. As for you, she wouldn't even glance at you if you died, for Miss Baoju's reputation. You'll just have to bear the inconvenience of dying. With that, the nurse ordered the maids to strangle her. Her face flushed crimson as she laughed through her tears. I sat in the sedan chair and lifted the curtain slightly. All I saw in the distance was a straw mat. Baoju was ruthless. I knew it from that moment on. I just didn't expect her to still not let me off the hook now. Taken hostage and locked in the room, but Baoju quietly slipped in. Do you really think I'd let you go? She held the golden hairpin in her hand, tracing it across my face. As long as we keep you alive to threaten the crown prince, that's enough. As for the rest, I can't make any promises. Wasn't the countryside good enough? Why did you have to come back? If you hadn't returned, I would have been the one betrothed to the crown prince. Now our whole family wouldn't be in this situation. It's all your fault. The precious pearl's twisted expression was hideously ferocious. The sharp hairpin was raised high. I effortlessly seized her wrist and snatched the hairpin from her. I was different from delicate noble ladies like her. My hands are stained with blood. Moonlight spills onto the golden hairpin as droplets of blood slide to the ground. Baoju clutched her stinging face, about to scream when I covered her mouth. I grabbed a handkerchief and stuffed it into her mouth, then stripped off her clothes and tied her to the bed. She watched in horror as I calmly changed into her clothes. Whimpering softly, I smiled at her. Thanks for the door key, you fool. When I returned to the Eastern Palace, the people inside were in complete chaos. They all breathed a sigh of relief the moment they saw me. Shongjian had left a hidden guard by my side. I handed him the message that the Princess of Wei was a witch attempting to control the emperor and instructed him to deliver it swiftly to Shongjian. The secret guard stepped out into a torrential downpour. News of Shongjian's safety arrived 3 days later. Along with it came word that the Prince of Wei had departed for his fiefdom, never to return to the capital. Naturally, as members of the Prince of Wei's faction, my father's entire household was exiled 3,000 li away. I watched from the tavern with the best view as they departed. Even in prison garb, even in destitution, they still cherished Baoju. Don't cry, Baoju, as long as your mother's here, you won't suffer. As long as our family stays together, we fear nothing. I calmly took a sip of tea. Not a ripple stirred in my heart, because I have my own home. Shong Lian returned to the Eastern Palace clad in armor, carrying a faint scent of blood. The moment I saw him, I trotted over eagerly. Yet he suddenly covered his face and stepped back. I haven't bathed in 3 days. I'm ugly and filthy. Don't come any closer. Through the gaps between his fingers, burning eyes gleamed, staring at me with greedy intensity. Ugly and filthy. I've seen him even uglier and dirtier. I threw myself at him, holding him tightly. Behind me, Shong Lian patted my back gently like a child offering comfort. With a raised lip and eyes full of pride, he said, "You didn't see how amazing I was." I kicked down the Prince of Wei with one foot, and with one sword stroke sent him fleeing in panic, pissing his pants. Nowhere as good as me, yet still dreaming of usurping the throne. If it weren't for that old witch sacrificing herself to save him, he'd have lost his head long ago. Good riddance to that old hag. Now no wicked mother-in-law will dare to bully you again. Of course, what matters most is my crown princess, brave and quick-witted. Escaping danger to deliver crucial news to me. Tilda, with a wife like this, what more could a man ask for? More Tilda. He tried to kiss me, but I rejected him with my ugly face. Even though I said I wouldn't mind, you can't actually kiss me. Shong Lian pouted. You really do look down on me. If you don't let me have my way in bed tonight, I'll get angry and ignore you. We've been married for so long, yet you've said 0 words to me. You're giving me the silent treatment. You not only look down on me but also give me the cold shoulder. What's the point of living anymore? I don't want to live. Tilda. The wooden horse made a sound, a loud one. My lips withdrew from his cheek. Shong Jian suppressed the upward curve of his mouth. It turned out it would bounce back. He cleared his throat lightly. It's alive. Haven't been to bed for half a month. Tonight's Shongdian was exceptionally clingy and insatiable. At first, it was just innocent chatting under the covers. Shongdian secretly whispered that he wanted to tell me a secret. I actually come from another world, where there are no emperors or crown princes, everyone is equal. But I didn't have a good life there at all. There is no father or mother there who loves me, nor is there you. I blinked. Shongdong frowned. You don't believe me? I shook my head. I believed everything he said. I'd believe him if he said a rooster could lay eggs. Shonglian snorted lightly. I'm angry. He narrowed his eyes slightly, stealing glances at me from the corner of his eye. Cheer me up. I couldn't help but laugh helplessly as I leaned in closer, only to be cunningly pinned beneath him. The first light of dawn crept in. The man still whispered by her ear. Once more, your silence means consent. I took a deep breath and lifted my heavy eyelids. I kicked him off the bed with one foot. Get lost, Shongdian exclaimed joyfully. Aha, I told you you could talk. Now say hubby for me, Tilda. Not calling me husband. Hurry up, quickly, say my name. Crown Princess, Little Grass. Meanwhile, I was sound asleep. Shonglian stealthily kissed her forehead and said proudly, my love, truly a divine remedy. In the dream, I arrived at the world Shonglian spoke of. I could touch everything, but no one could see me. Except for, I won't die this time if I can't die now. A man wearing a flat cap bumped into me. One moment he looked gloomy, the next he timidly apologized to me. It was Shonglian. I opened my mouth, wanting to call out to him, yet I found myself unable to speak. Shonglian had already turned and walked away. I hurried after him, watching as he reached the center of the bridge. He muttered to himself, dear heavens, just let me die quickly this time. Let the good deeds I've done in this life make me an emperor in the next.
I don't care about fatherly love anyway. By the way, don't ask me why my eyes are red. It must have been the dumplings I ate. The wasabi dip was too spicy for my eyes. I was still recognized. My desk was covered in paint. My textbooks were full of glue. My bed was drenched in slop. Everyone took out their frustrations on me, using my illegitimate birth as an excuse. I became the school's punching bag. No matter, if this school won't have me, I'll just transfer. There must be a place for me in this world. I spoke too soon. Later I realized there truly was no place for me. No matter which school I transferred to, the label of illegitimate child followed me relentlessly. I still couldn't escape becoming the enemy of the whole school. I cheered myself on. Come on, Shongdian. As long as you don't encounter insecticide, you're still an indestructible little cockroach. And then I realized, life is full of insecticide everywhere. I barely made it to college only to run into the pandemic. I barely survived the pandemic, only to face a tough job market. I barely managed to find a job. I discovered it was my estranged father's company. I finally got promoted to a full-time position, only to be fired by my half-brother. After a hard-fought legal battle, I finally won and received double compensation. My mother, who I hadn't spoken to in ages, suddenly got cancer. After spending all my savings, she still passed away. Then as a broke guy, I helped an elderly person on the street and got scammed out of tens of thousands. Instantly became the unluckiest bastard alive. This goddamn life. Does it even let people live? Then don't live it. I've tried every way to die. Wrist cutting, hanging, gas leaks. I do have some luck on my side. Every time, I narrowly escape death. Maybe I should buy a lottery ticket. Reaching into my pocket, I don't even have the money for a lottery ticket. I want to die even more. The nth time seeking death. I went to the Sky Bridge, known as the Bridge of Death. With a name like that, it's guaranteed to send you straight to heaven after death. Lucky, if I can't die this time, then I won't die. Damn it, resigned to fate. Bang, and even bumped into a little girl dressed in ancient style clothing. I'm sorry. I instinctively apologized, walked straight onto the bridge, standing on the railing. The cold wind made my legs tremble. How about trying a different way to die? Is the bridge this high? Is the water this cold? Then, legs trembling, one slip, one closed eye. There was no sensation of falling from heights, no suffocating feeling of water, only the soft, pliant sensation in my arms. Shongdong. I opened my eyes. It was that little girl. How do you know my name? Meeting her reddened eyes. My heart trembled. The love in her gaze burned through me, leaving me utterly undone. Could it be? I awkwardly blurted out. No need to say it. I know you have a crush on me. Geez. You should have said so earlier, then I wouldn't have had to die. That little girl who had a crush on me vanished. No one said they'd seen her, not even the surveillance cameras captured her presence. All they saw was me jumping off the railing alone. My face turned pale. I'm done for, I'm hallucinating. Every time I wanted to die after that, her image would appear in my mind, the thought of her crying over my death. I just don't dare to die, but heaven simply can't stand to see me happy. On a fine and sunny afternoon, a sports car sped down the street. The sports car crashed into several shops in a row, then it hit several people. Unfortunately, I was one of them. A drunken man got out of the car. At first glance, it was indeed my half-brother. As I drew my last breath, I shouted my rebirth mantra. If there's a next life, I swear I won't starve to death again. I'm so hungry. I was reborn from the womb, reborn as the Crown Prince. Enthroned as Crown Prince before my 100-day celebration. This life, I have parents who cherish me. There were silks and satins, delicacies from land and sea. I was fortunate enough to enjoy such good days. At the age of 14, I followed my father on a hunting trip, lost in the desolate mountains, escaped the assassin's pursuit, only to fall to a tiny snake. My mind grows faint, but my spirit must blaze on. I steel myself with determination. Wildfires cannot burn it all away. With spring winds it revives each day. Since I've survived this mortal plight, fortune must follow in its flight. What doesn't kill me, I'll slay instead. Just when I thought I'd meet the king of hell, a little sister appeared. Oh, not a little sister, a savior. I desperately clutched her ankle, begging her to save me. She remained unmoved. Interesting. She refused to help when I was in mortal danger. Boring. In the end, I still managed to trick her into saving me. My life was spared, but she didn't care about her own. Once there was a living being right before me, and I didn't save it. If I could do it all over again, I would tell her, a living dog is better than a dead lion. My mouth was parched from talking, but I finally persuaded her to step back. A life was saved. As I was leaving, I kept staring at her face over and over. Familiar, so familiar. May I ask for the lady's name? She coldly pointed at the grass on the ground. She left with an air of aloofness. I froze for a few seconds. What the hell? She was insulting me. Later, I ran into that little girl again. I fell in love at first sight. Though that first meeting was in our past lives, I knew she wasn't happy at home. So I knelt in the hall of mental cultivation, begging my imperial father to grant me this marriage. One moment you're scolding him to tears, the next you want to marry his daughter. Do you think he'd even agree? Besides, you're the one who insisted on giving me a mute as my crown princess. I think she's perfect. I won't marry anyone but her. You're a man of your word. Surely you wouldn't go back on your promise. The emperor. Grant it. The crown princess. More. Slap. I was jolted awake by a slap. The sweet dream came to an abrupt end. Before my eyes was her smiling face. Your Majesty, it's time for the morning court. Also, I am no longer the crown princess, I am your empress now. I happily planted a kiss on her. That's right. She was no longer the crown princess, she was my empress. The end.